Hello, my name is Barbara Calhoun, and today I will present a study that was done at the University of Oregon by Courtney Stevens and her colleagues. This study was published in Brain Research in 2008. Let me start by giving you a little bit of the background. Behavioral studies have reported deficits in selective attention in children with language disorders, including specific language impairments and dyslexia. The Temple et al. Study presented previously observed that after fast-forward participation, there was increased activation in cortical areas related to attention. This study evaluates whether intervention with the high-intensity fast-forward product would influence the neural mechanisms associated with selective auditory attention. This study focused on children who were 6 to 8 years old. The students were divided into 3 groups. Group 1 was language-impaired students who used the intervention. Group 2 was typically developing children who used the intervention. Group 3 was typically developing children who did not use the intervention. The intervention was the fast-forward language product. On average, students used it 100 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and ended up using it for 29 days across 6 weeks. Students were behaviorally and physiologically evaluated at the start and end of the study. The behavioral measure was the clinical evaluation of language fundamentals, a measure of oral language and early reading skills. The physiological evaluation was event-related brain potentials, also known as ERPs, which are changes in the electrical activity in the brain in response to specific events, such as briefly presented tones. In this particular study, 2 different stories were presented to the students, one in each ear. The stories were about different subjects and were presented by different speakers. Students were asked to attend to the story in either the right ear or the left ear. Selective attention can be measured by the difference in the size of the ERP to a specific sound that is presented to the attended versus the ignored ear. This slide shows changes in early reading skills from the start of the study to the end of the study. Specifically, it shows the students' receptive language skills, which is their ability to attend to spoken language. There were 2 groups of students that received intervention. One group was language impaired, and the other group was typically developing. As might be expected, students in the typically developing group had substantially higher scores than did students in the language impaired group. After the intervention, students in both groups had statistically significant improvements in their receptive language skills. The third group of students were typically developing students who had no intervention. Their initial scores were similar to those of the typically developing students who had the intervention. However, at the end of the study, there was no appreciable improvement in their receptive language skills. Now let's look at whether auditory attention changes with intervention. We will do this by looking at ERP results. The height of the bar indicates how well a student is able to attend to one event over another. A higher bar indicates better attention. Initially, students in the typically developing group could attend better than the students in the language impaired group. After the intervention, students in both groups made statistically significant improvements in their ability to attend to an event. Looking at students in the third group, typically developing students with no intervention showed that they started out at the same level as the typically developing students who had intervention, and there was no appreciable change in their ability to attend. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please refer to the study or contact our customer service team.